The White House sharing this dramatic video of a U.S. strike blasting that boat. It was carrying drugs from Venezuela, killing 11 suspected Tren de Aragua members in the Caribbean Sea.
Yeah, we saw this yesterday. Lucas Tomlinson is live in Washington. Lucas, this could just be the beginning.
There's no question about it, Brian. Good morning. When the Pentagon deployed that armada to the Caribbean, including an attack submarine, officials say it was not just going to be doing donuts in the water. This plan has been in the works for weeks. It's the first lethal operation since the American warships arrived on station. This unclassified drone footage shows a go-faster speedboat getting annihilated, killing all 11 on board. For years, the U.S. military would shoot out the engine block, or a Coast Guard law enforcement detachment would jump on board and detain the crew. We used to run that tape. No longer. The Pentagon now given orders to kill. The president spoke about it yesterday.
We just, over the last few minutes, literally shot out a boat, a drug-carrying boat, a lot of drugs in that boat, a lot of drugs pouring into our country, coming in for a long time. And we just, these came out of Venezuela and coming out very heavily from Venezuela. A lot of things are coming out of Venezuela.
The goal of the operation is to deny revenue to the Maduro regime in Venezuela, which receives over $8 billion from selling drugs on American streets and college campuses, the bulk coming from cocaine sales, as you see. Now, Secretary of State Marco Rubio spoke in Miami yesterday en route to Ecuador.
The president's been very clear that he's going to use the full power of America and the full might of the United States to take on and eradicate these drug cartels, no matter where they're operating from and no matter how long they've been able to act with impunity. Those days are over. We are going to wage combat against drug cartels that are flooding American streets and killing Americans.
So we might need a new cocaine price index, or it might be a good time to dust off your copy of Clear and Present Danger or watch the movie. Hope I'm not dating myself, guys.
Nope, I think it all made the segment even better. Thanks, Lucas. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Lucas.
So, I mean, the president of the United States put some destroyers right off the coast of Venezuela, and you thought, what's he doing? Well, he put a $50 million bounty on Maduro's head of Venezuela, and you thought, okay, we're amping this up. We're not going to be taking their dirty oil anymore. We're going to do it ourselves. So what's he up to? He says it's about drugs. And this is proof of it. So if you're a drug trafficker, you're going to be targeted. And this, according to Marco Rubio, he believes this boat first was heading to Trinidad. And then from there, that drugs ends up with us. Not anymore. Anything coming off the coast is going to be a target.
So you guys may remember when, and we're going to have the secretary on, Pete Hicks, Secretary of Defense, on later, but one of his first trips was to the Mexican border, and we went to Fort Bliss with the secretary. And during that briefing, it was about Southern Command and all these narco-terrorists. Well, they kicked us out later on because they wanted to start the classified version. But when they came out, the message that the secretary had for the country was, we know exactly where all of these narco-terrorists are. And before, there was this hands-off approach trying to work with these governments to get rid of them. No longer with this president. He knows exactly where they are, and they're going to be targeting them. In country and out of country.
Well, yesterday in the Oval Office, President Trump was talking about this, and then he posted the video on Truth Social. So he's being very transparent with all of us and saying this is what's going to happen and sending a clear message down to Venezuela and other countries that are trying to smuggle in drugs through our waters here to the United States. Because you heard Marco Rubio say what they do is they leave Venezuela with all, they're smart. They know how to do this. These are gangs. These are terrorist organizations. Then they go to Puerto Rico, and then the drugs are smuggled into the mainland of the United States of America. But TDA is a designated foreign terrorist organization. They're responsible, remember, for murdering, for drug trafficking, sex trafficking, for violence, and for terror. And Donald Trump on Truth Social said, let this be a notice to everybody, even thinking about bringing drugs into the USA. Beware.
President Trump sharing this video. This video after announcing the U.S. military killed 11 Tren de Aragua members in a strike in the Caribbean Sea. They're calling the strike a notice to anybody even thinking about bringing drugs into the U.S. Former Deputy Assistant Secretary of the and former General Counsel to the Navy, Van Hipp, joins us now. Van, how significant was that hit?
I think it was very significant. It shows that this president, Brian, is going to do whatever it takes to keep this country and the American people safe. I think it was President Harry Truman who said that the president has the power to do whatever it takes to keep the country from going to hell. And I think that's what you're seeing here, whether it is securing our borders, where it's attacking violent crime in our big cities, or if it's stopping the flow of illegal drugs into this country that are killing our kids. This president is doing whatever it takes to keep this country from going to hell.
It's estimated that the cartels have lost $1 billion since Donald Trump took office because he's shut down the border. The El Paso section alone used to have 2,700 illegals stream through there. It's down to 40, and none of them are getting in. If you look at what what Venezuelan drug trafficking estimated income is, cocaine, over $8 billion. Estimates on marijuana, over $50 million. Proceeds total, $8.2 billion. That's going to stop. But what do you think, besides those ships, those fast boats, trying to get to the Caribbean or to our border, what are the 5 destroyers doing in the region? While Maduro's got a $50 million bounty on his head, what do you think's happening?
Well, the president has basically deployed a flotilla of ships, and we're talking about at least 3 of these Aegis guided missile destroyers. And what that does, Brian, it gives you the capability to withstand an attack from air, land, sea, ship to ship, submarine, you name it. So I think it was a wise decision by the president. And when you look at the Venezuelan military, you're talking about roughly 120,000 active duty personnel. And as far as their maritime capability is concerned, you're mainly talking about patrol boats. So I think we're in good shape down there.
So let's fast forward to China. They put on a massive military parade, the biggest in history, maybe the biggest ever. But 2 days prior, they had India. North Korean leader arrived yesterday. 2 days prior, the Indian leader, and of course the Russians. Every day they just get up every day and say what great friends we are. We see those numbers. We see that hardware. It's got they're pretty impressive what they had there, celebrating 80 years since they won World War II without us. Your thoughts before we hear what Donald Trump had to say.
Yeah, and they spend $5 billion on this parade, and their economy's in shambles, their population's declining. What we're seeing here, Brian, this is what I call communist Chinese fake news and fake history. They downplayed the U.S. involvement in what we did to win World War II. They're playing up the Soviet Union. Brian, the fact is that the Soviet Union in the spring of 1941 entered into a neutrality treaty with Japan because they didn't want to have to fight Japan and Germany at the same time. I'd like to see the United States counter this communist Chinese fake history, and I'd like to see us next year have our own celebration of the end of World War II in Asia and Pacific. And let's have it on the beaches of the Philippines, where General MacArthur returned.
I hear what you're saying, but we do have to address our shipbuilding. It's anemic, even if we have to buy from Norway or whatever, and we have to address our military-industrial base that everyone fears. It is diminished to the point where our security is at risk. Final thought on that.
No question. This president inherited a mess, and he's rebuilding the military. And if you look at the big, beautiful bill that passed, a lot of money in there for shipbuilding. So this president, I think, is doing the right things to rebuild the American military so that we can deal with the China threat and other nefarious characters throughout the world.
And we're keeping our eye. The president did mention he's keeping his eye on Russia. If they do not make a sincere effort to get a bi or trilateral, there's going to be some consequences, I hope. Anyway, thanks so much, Van Hipp. Always great. Appreciate it.
Great to be with you.